Welcome to Beyond the Broadsheet, a podcast by the Lincoln County News. We are a community newspaper based in Midcoast, Maine, and we provide the most comprehensive, in-depth coverage of Lincoln County available anywhere. My name's Molly Rains, and I cover Waldoboro, Jefferson, and Somerville for the paper.
And I'm Piper. I cover Dresden, Noblesboro, Whitefield, and Wiscasset for the paper.
Wow. And we have our editor-in-chief here.
Hi, it's Maia Zewert, and I edit their work.
Yes, she does. And the person who publishes our work is here as well. Hi, John.
Hi.
This
it's good
John
to be here.
We're going to talk about our stories from January 2nd, 2025 today, which is exciting because it's the first of the year.
I know. New year, new stories.
Yes. And the first edition of the 150th volume.
That's correct, yeah.
John, but the newspaper is older than 150 years. So can you talk about why we're celebrating 150 now?
Sure. So the title Lincoln County News has been used twice in the county. First was for a paper published in Waldoboro. And then starting in 1919, we started calling this paper the Lincoln County News. So the volume that we trace our roots back to is actually from 1876 when the Lincoln Advertiser became the Village Herald.
Yes.
Wow, I did not know that. Thank you for asking him that.
Gone ever since, which is very exciting. Yeah. But first, do you want to come to the present and talk about what happened in this week's edition?
Yeah,
Piper?
I suppose we should. Well, I'm going to ask you first because you covered something about the Lincoln County Social Resilience Project.
I did. It was very, very cool. I went to their community dinner. The Lincoln County Social Resilience Project is a collaboration between the county government and some people from the University of Maine and Bowdoin who are doing research on how coastal communities can prepare for extreme weather. And one of the things they want to do is hear from community members about what it's like to live through storms. So I went to their dinner on November 14th at Madomic High School and saw them with a lot of people running conversations, which is really cool. But I didn't participate because it wasn't super beneficial for the press to be there. You don't want to talk candidly about your storm experience, but I did get to talk to the researchers later, and they said that they learned a lot about how important the community is to surviving storms.
Yeah. Did they talk about last January's storms?
Yeah, they said that was a big focus, but surprisingly, people were also really concerned about the smaller scale ones that happen more frequently, because if you're a farmer, it's not only the huge, super dramatic, really high windstorms that matter, but
the everyday storms. Yeah.
And windstorms in the fall, too, that knock down trees and might interfere with your harvest and things like that. Yeah. So they worked with the Lincoln County Regional Planning Commission and made kind of a roadmap for boosting resilience going forward, which is exciting.
Yeah.
We'll see if we have any storms this winter. Hopefully not.
Cross your fingers.
Yeah. And Piper, you've got some changes in Dresden.
Yeah, so the principal, Eric Gray, he started back in August. He has resigned from the position. He's going to be going back to Edward Little High School in Auburn, where he was the assistant principal. He said it was a tough choice, but a choice he had to make for the good of his family. He does live in Monmouth, so it's kind of a jaunt to get to Dresden. But he described leaving as bittersweet, and I know he was really excited to have this job. So it's sad to see him leave, but it sounds like it'll be for the best.
Yes, and he's worked there before.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I can't remember what years he worked there, but he was the assistant principal at Dresden and Richmond concurrently.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's nice for him.
Yeah.
I hope he has fun. Well,
Yeah. He's a very nice guy, so I wish him all the best.
Oh, and another kind of goodbye is with Edgecombe's Mary Barn, which is closing, or it is closed now at the end of 2024. And I got to talk to its founder, Stephanie McSherry, and that was really nice to reflect on all the work she's done there. And Maya, she told me that you went and spoke with some of the kids once.
Yes, I really like to go and visit like classrooms whenever I get the chance. And so she was having a summer writing camp. So I got to go in and talk to the kids about being a reporter. And had a lot of fun because kids always are like, what's your favorite story? What do you not like about your job? And it's just like, it's the sheer excitement they have just to like ask you things. And it's like, I don't know what my fourth favorite story is. Thanks.
But asking the tough questions.
Oh, yes. But yeah, Stephanie is awesome. I understand why why she's departing, but at the same time, I'm super bummed. Wow.
If you heard a beep in the background,
John
just know that
Roberts.
our publisher is also the Damerscott fire chief.
So some things are more important than the podcast. But yeah, the Mary Barn is really cool. It used to be a dance hall, then it was a workshop, and then it was this really cool thing that McSherry built, which was like a camp for kids to write and make art and just be their creative selves. And now it's going to a new set of local owners, and I'm not sure what they'll be doing there, but she said that they have the right energy.
I actually went to an Edgecombe. I always say it wrong, and I don't know why. An Edgecombe planning board meeting a little while back where the new people were getting the change in use approved, and it sounds like it's a Booth Bay business, I believe.
Cool. Yeah, she said it was a local business, but I don't know.
A manufacturer of sorts.
Sweet.
Well, I cannot wait to see which one of you follows up on that to write about it.
Stay tuned. Yep. And in our last bit of exciting looking forward is that Somerville is going to have 3 select board members again this week. We're going to see them choose between candidates Catherine Jennings and Michael Tessio, and I interviewed both of them for some profiles in this edition.
Yeah, how was that?
Wonderful. They both are excited to be more civically involved, and they kind of shared a lot of concerns about taxes and the division that has been observed in Somerville recently. So it was interesting to hear from some select board candidates about that and what the select board might be able to do to address it.
Yeah.
Shall we have a news quiz?
Oh, absolutely. But I think you need to set up why we're having a news quiz.
Yes. So
I don't know.
as John mentioned, we are starting the 150th edition this year, or volume. Sorry, got
There
those
you
two
go.
mixed up.
Volume 150.
Yes, volume 150, which is a huge deal.
Mm-hmm.
And to celebrate that, I did some digging through the archives because in the past, whenever I get a chance to look through them, I am just delighted by all of the silly things that we used to post. And also they're really wonderful and the things that have stood the test of time, which is so exciting. So I found some fun stories from the various versions of the Lincoln County News that have been published over the last 150 years. I looked at the first edition of each year over roughly 10-year intervals because some years are more exciting than others. And I have some questions for you guys.
Oh, gosh. Okay.
Now, how are we going about this? Is it whoever
this just a
buzzes
free-for-all?
in first, or like how are we keeping track of points? Because
Oh, this is serious.
Before we went on, I told John I will destroy you in this, and I cannot let my competitive edge be ruined. So.
How about we go around in a circle with answers and I'll tell you guys who's going to answer first each time.
All right. If they get it wrong, do we get a chance to steal?
Well,
Not
everybody's
if you're
gonna
using
give
your
an answer.
laptop to cheat.
I am not. I'm taking notes. I am taking notes because Tyler Davis, our wonderful producer, we want to make sure we're keeping him in the loop.
Thank you, Tyler.
Thank you, Tyler.
So, in an edition, a very early edition, 1876,
Oh my
January 1st.
gosh, we're going way back in time.
Which of the following news items did not appear in this edition? A play-by-play of a failed elopement between two young lovers. B, 13 bootleggers fined $100 each, which is almost $3,000 today, for selling rum in Wiscasset. 3, a horse-drawn cart filled with hay burned up in Wiscasset. 4, several cases of diphtheria in Rockland. Or 5, an editorial about, of all things, the death penalty.
What is happening?
Oh my God.
I wish this wasn't just an audio medium so you can see our faces right now. Because what was any
One
of
of
that?
these things did not appear in this
Okay.
edition. One of them. All right, let's go around the circle. So Piper, out of failed elopement, bootleggers, flaming cart, and diphtheria, and the editorial about the death penalty, which of those is fake?
Editorial about the death penalty.
Maya?
I'm going to say the horse-drawn cart.
John?
That was also going to be my answer, and now I'm wondering if I should change it.
I changed mine. I was also going to say the editorial, but I was like,
Go with your gut.
Sticking with that answer?
Yeah, I'm going to stick with that
All
answer.
right, well, that's good because you and Maya are right.
Boo.
Yes. The real news story was that somebody yelled fire in Wiscasset and it was a false alarm. But we did have an editorial about the death penalty, specifically hanging, because
wow.
it was calling for the legislative session of that year to take into consideration establishing a go-to means. Because apparently until then they just kind of were like, what do we feel like doing?
What do we feel like doing today?
Or they didn't have a defined policy.
wild.
Yeah. So we're sticking with this edition because my next question is, what is, according to an unnamed reporter, one great fault of the people of Damariscotta? And your options here.
John Roberts, the only person here right now who is a resident of Damariscotta, just gave the greatest look.
John, I think you should answer first. You have two options. They talk too much, they don't talk enough.
So going back 100 years, I'm going to say they talk too much.
Okay.
That is my answer as well.
I was also going to go with that, but now I feel like I should go with they don't talk enough.
What's it gonna
Final
be?
answer?
They don't talk enough. Final answer.
Piper's right.
Oh!
They have a passion for keeping things quiet. And this is a quote. However, if they knew how it enhanced the sale of a paper, we're liberal enough to believe they would evince a much more generous spirit than they do now. So, all right, let's jump forward. 1885, January 2nd. A deal for a 1-year subscription to the Lincoln County News.
You say January 2nd?
Yes.
Of which year?
Oh, sorry, I didn't jump ahead. Still 1885.
1885, the price of the paper.
Which paper?
The Lincoln County News.
A 1-year
So the one in
subscription.
Waldoboro?
Yes.
A 1-year subscription?
Who's going first?
Maya.
Damn it. A 1-year subscription.
1 year. Oh, and by the way, this was a promo for the first month of the year.
Oh, okay.
My gosh.
1-year subscription, 1885. I'm going to say 75 cents.
How much is a 1-year subscription now?
I can answer that.
$45 for in county.
That's $45 in 2024.
It's 2025.
Sorry. Oh my gosh.
What you got, Piper?
I'm gonna go $1.50.
Okay. And John.
60 cents.
I think Maya's the closest. It's $1.
Bam!
And
Price is right.
I
Rules
was
closest
to,
without
yeah.
going over.
That was that was like a promo deal, and that's about $36 today. And then their regular
Ooh.
rate was $53.17 in today's money.
Interesting.
Yes. Wow. All right, September 5th, 1946, jumping ahead.
All right,
Quite
so
a
we're
few.
firmly in Lincoln County News territory now.
Mhm.
And-
In the past, a few different newspapers are represented. Now we're in the Lincoln County News.
And we're
Excellent.
like sort of in the midst of World War II.
Yes, it's 1946, September 5th. So, a front page story in this edition reports that in late August, Mrs. Joan Ruby Brewer, originally of Surrey, England, arrived in Damariscotta. That's nice, but why was it a front page story? And we're going to have Piper start this. I have 3 options for you.
Okay.
A, she was a nurse traveling the United States to collect donations for children displaced during World War II. B, she was the first war bride from abroad to arrive in town to live with her American soldier husband. Or C, she was a traveling performer known for her ankle-length red hair.
All great options.
I kind of want to go with B.
Maya?
I'm going to say A, that she was collecting donations.
Since there's 3 of us and I agree with Piper, I'm going to choose C, just so we're all different choices. So,
Perfect.
the red hair.
Unfortunately, she did not have ankle-length red hair. She was the first war bride.
Oh.
Yes, and she arrived in the United States on a government transport specifically intended to bring GI's brides back to America. She was brought to New York City, and then she came to Damariscotta, and it was news. And her husband was Horace Brewer, a World War II vet,
Wow.
originally from Damariscotta. All right, let's go to 1955. What was the first town in Lincoln County to receive federal funding for disaster assistance? And for a bonus, why? Maya, John, you want to start us off?
Is this still 1946?
Nope, it's 1955, January 6th.
Which town and why? He's thinking.
I would want to say Waldoboro, but I'm going to go with Wiscasset. And the disaster. Let's go with flooding.
Piper?
I'm so much better at multiple choice.
Well, this is a 19-choice question.
I want to say something out of the box, like...
I don't think Somerville was a town yet, though.
True. A 17. Yeah,
Yeah.
I counted Monhegan, too. Shouldn't have done that.
Oh my gosh.
So it's not Monhegan or Somerville.
I want to say, like, Bristol.
Excellent. You have a guess for why?
Probably also for flooding.
And Maya?
I'm going to say Damariscotta and Windstorm.
Oh.
Just to mess with it a bit.
Well, nobody's right. Because it was Dresden,
Oh.
bizarrely. And the reason was Hurricane Edna, which was and may still have been the most destructive hurricane in Maine's history.
How
What?
did Dresden
I
end up
know.
with it then?
Well, they were just the first town.
Okay. I
And-
was like, how did the hurricane touch Dresden?
Yeah. According to the Lincoln County News reporting at the time, other towns were supposed to get checks, but Dresden just happened to be the first one.
Yeah, Dresden!
And I think that you all got it because there was flooding, there was winds. The whole Maine was the worst state in the U.S. affected by Hurricane Edna. And it's just interesting to see that being the first time that federal funds come through for a disaster relief, because now it's pretty standard and we hear about it
Yeah.
at a lot of select board meetings where they're applying for FEMA funding after a severe storm.
Wow.
But like,
So I had to do a fact check on Somerville just to make sure.
Yeah.
So they were a town before, but in 1937, they surrendered their organization of a township until 1974. So
Oh, yeah.
They
in
were a
55,
town.
they weren't a town. They were not a town.
What
Yeah,
were
yeah.
they?
They
Plantation.
probably would have been a plantation.
Yeah. Sometimes I wonder if they're going to go that route again, just because. That's amazing that they gave it up for a little while. All right, let's go to 1965. The headline of the story I'm going to be asking you about is Monhegan Does It Again. And it starts.
What did they do?
Once more, the offshore island of Monhegan has proved that it is possible to live by the rule of the greatest good for the greatest numbers. This has to do with lobster fishing because at the time, and I don't know if this is still true, but all the lobster fishermen would go out at the same time on New Year's Day to set their traps, so they would have this high-stakes competition to get the best spot. And it would be even footing because everyone is setting out at the same time on New Year's Day. But this year in particular, in 1965, one of the Monhegan lobstermen was off island at a funeral. So what did everybody do on New Year's Day? This is an open-ended one. Maya's first.
All right. I'm going to say they postponed until the person returned.
Are we in agreement? Any other ideas?
Yeah, I mean, I would say they either postponed or they put his traps in the best spot.
I'm surrounded by optimists today.
I would hope.
Knowing Molly, I think she probably chose a feel-good story instead of
Yeah.
like a bad story.
Oh, for sure.
So I'd be inclined to say that they just pitched his, pots over the dock, and but no, I think they probably did the right thing to come together.
They did, and there was like a very proud editorial written about it by the
Nice.
Lincoln County News. Everybody just waited until he came back from the funeral to do their annual tradition. And the last line of the article was, "We in like less rural areas should be inspired by this kindness."
What I love about that is it kind of is still reflected today. Lisa Brackett, I want to say town clerk / registrar of voters, she always calls in Monhegan's results. So I was talking to her on election night, and she's like, yep, we had everybody vote by 2 p.m. except for one person who was off island, but we called them and they said they were good. So here are our results. And I was like, yeah, I suppose it makes sense that everybody on the island knows whether or not someone is on the island.
Totally. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Wow, we should have written an editorial about it. Let's jump to 1975 when we had and reported on the front page about, quote, one of the biggest breakthroughs for county crime fighters in recent times.
In 75?
In 1975, a cache of stolen goods was found in an empty home on Westport Island and a Portland apartment. How much was all of this stolen goods worth? Piper, you're first. Piper's looking surprised. You know Westport Island where you bury your stolen treasure?
Yeah, totally. 1975.
We can do $1975 or today's dollars. I got them both.
Okay.
I would say let's do 1975 and you can tell us how much it's worth.
5,000.
Okay.
I feel like I went too high, but
I was going to say, I'm going to go 3,000.
Okay, John.
$5,001.
no, this is not The Price is Right.
And if it is The Price is Right, John wins.
No!
It's $20,000.
In 1975 money.
1975. And in today, that is $117,000-ish.
Is crazy.
According to the Consumer Price Index. Yeah, so that's pretty nuts. And so now I have another question related to this. What was all of this stuff? Was it A, paintings and other works of fine art? B, seashells? C, fine rugs? Or D, cars?
Ooh.
John, do you want to go first?
Let's go with paintings.
I'm going to say rugs.
Pipe dog?
This is the most random grouping of things.
A part of me really hopes it's seashells.
I'm gonna say cars just to be different.
You guys are right, because it's all of the above and more.
What do you mean and more?
They just had all kinds of things, and I thought the seashells were the most exciting part. They were taken from a local gallery.
Oh my gosh.
So
What?
I love this so much.
This was a tip that local police got, and it led them to a 24-year-old in a very, quote, lush Portland apartment.
Well, yeah, it's got all those seashells.
Yeah.
And at the apartment, they found a couple of stolen paintings and then some information that led them to Westport Island, where they found everything in an abandoned house.
Westport Island.
Yep. Westport Island. What do you know?
Wow.
Yep. All right. My last question for you guys is...
And we're all tied up.
Yeah. So it's pretty high stakes. I'm going to ask you 2 more questions then, because I know that Maya knows the answer to one of them.
What?
Let's go to...
You got to throw that one out.
Yeah.
Just throw that one out.
Then let's end with 1995.
Okay.
A front page story to start the new year recounted a party thrown at the Edgecombe Eddy School for a 9-year-old student. One of his classmates wrote him a card that said, "Do you like being a blank? I hope you do." What did the card say? A, do you like being a science genius? B, do you like being an American citizen? C, do you like being my best friend? Anybody just shout out.
All right, I'm going to think it was held on New Year's Day or New Year's Eve.
This party was, we didn't say, but it's right around the turn of the new year, yeah.
I'm going to say, do you like being my best friend? Because I bet it was like a birthday party.
Oh.
Citizenship. Let's go with the U.S. citizen.
Piper,
I'm also going to say best friend.
best friend. John's the winner of this party.
What?
Yes, it was Oleg Johnson of Edgecombe, and he was adopted at the age of 6, 3 years earlier.
Oh.
And he wasn't naturalized until then just because there was a lot of paperwork and whatnot. And when he was naturalized in Portland, he said, "Now my mom won't have to fill out as much paperwork." And his whole class had a party for him at Edgecombe Eddy, and the card was from a girl named Lindsay, and she said, "I hope you like being an American citizen."
Oh,
That's so sweet.
my gosh.
And he led his class in the Pledge of Allegiance as a citizen for the new year. Do you guys want a bonus question? John's the winner. John's won.
Yeah, I want a bonus question.
Yeah.
This is about our beloved associate editor, Sherwood Olin. I was in my 10-year increments. I was looking at the first edition of 2005, and I saw that 2 stories were by Sherwood as a reporter. And in that year, Sherwood took on a pretty groundbreaking new role for the Lincoln County News. John, do you know?
In 2005?
Yes.
In 2005.
And Piper, you can take a guess. Just go off of what was happening in the mid-2000s.
I know you were probably, not really
4
with
years
it.
old. Just thinking long and hard over there.
You can probably smell the smoke. It wouldn't have been sports.
Mm-mm. It has to do with...
No. Let's see if he can get there.
Can you tell me the hint?
No.
Yeah, just whisper it to Piper.
Over Mike.
I don't know if I'm going to get there.
In 2005, where were you in 2005?
Depending on what time of year. I had graduated college, and I was either back here in Damerscott or living in Manchester, New Hampshire.
Okay, all right.
It has to do with technology.
There we go.
Yes. Sherwood became our web editor. The first one.
What?
The first one in history.
Sherwood did. No shade, Sherwood, but what?
He was working on uploading news to the first iteration of our website, which isn't the same one, obviously, that we have
I
today.
think he's
at
spoken
all.
about this, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, we had one before that, but it wasn't. It wasn't as filled with news.
Yeah.
Is the
I
one
think we had a more static page back in like
Oh,
98
cool.
time frame.
Yeah.
is the one that we had in 2005 the one that we had up until we got the new site in 2016?
It's very possible.
Okay.
Yeah, we used a company called Going One Up, and they were out of the Midwest
Yeah.
for quite a number of years.
Wow.
For the record, So we had that old website when I started in fall of 2015. The website was LincolnCountyNewsOnline.com, which meant that the reporters' email addresses were first initial, last name at LincolnCountyNewsOnline.com. I much prefer LCNME.
Wow. Yeah, me too. Much easier over the phone. Thanks for playing my game, you guys.
I think at some point in the year, I would like a rematch.
Oh, okay. I feel like
She
we
better
can
use that time studying.
Yeah.
open these huge books.
I was really hoping for some questions in the 71 to 74 time frame, because I've looked through those for the 50 years columns pretty extensively.
Oh, okay.
So when you jump to 75, I'm like, well, that's this year's project. That's not the...
Exactly. Got to get ahead of you. If anybody wants to look online at our archive, it's lcnme.com, our new website, /archive. And if you're a subscriber, you can look at any of this.
Yes.
Which is super fun.
Well
Highly
done,
recommend.
Molly. This was a great game. I really liked it.
I had so much fun. We used to publish news from all over the place too, like way back. So you can find some surprising things.
Yeah, I mean, quite frankly, until the Village Herald, there really wasn't a lot of local news. Mm-hmm. There'd be a little bit of local news, but a lot of the news came by wire, and that's how people were informed back then. Was by reading the newspaper. So they would come by telegraph from all around the world, and that's where the world news would be, was in your local papers, because there wasn't really a way to distribute the papers everywhere around. So
yeah, we were talking about how the advent of the mode that we operate under now kind of shows that people can then take that separate space to think about local news when they can get their world news somewhere else, and elevate local news to the same playing field, which is awesome.
Yes.
Cool. Thank you guys for participating.
Thanks you.
Our listeners for playing along. Happy New Year.
Thank you for listening to Beyond the Broadsheet, a podcast by the Lincoln County News. Production support is provided by Tyler Davis of Tyality Productions. Theme music by Stu Mahan and Sherwood Olin.
Have a question or a suggestion? Email us at info@lcnme.com. And if you haven't already, please be sure to rate and subscribe to this podcast wherever you listen.
This has been a Lincoln County Publishing Company production.